Hello and welcome back everyone to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5 Stylized Environment and Third-Person Blueprint course. In the last lesson we left ourselves off by creating a certain blueprint which allows us to have a sort of a prefab of material collections, or not material collections, a collection of props that is. And now we're going to talk a little bit in regards to the variations for them. So first things first, I'm just going to go ahead and go over the top of one and talk a little bit in regards to what is expected in regards from the collection. And you not only need to consider how it looks, but where it's going to fit. The best way of thinking in regards to the props is going to be if I were to just open it up in regards to a screenshot like so. So we need to basically consider in regards to the top shape itself. Right now it's set up in more of a square, or actually because this is, if we look at it from the side view, this is quite a small prop, so it might be considered a little bit more like a triangle of the sorts, like so. And it's a good shape to have, but we need more variances in regards to the shapes themselves. So not only should we have like clusters of those kind of shapes, like so, but we also need to consider to have shapes for, like, for example, where we're going to place the props, those kind of collections. So I recommend you in general to have variants of those kind of different cluster shapes. So we need to have like one that's more of a rectangle as is, just like that, one that would be more of a square, and one that would be more like a Tetris block like this. Although this is one a bit smaller in comparison, so I'll just draw it over here, like a sort of a Tetris block or just a simple triangle, either way you want to look at it. So basically one would be placed in just in whatever you want, to be honest. Other one would mainly be placed next to corners, and not corners, sorry, next to some walls and whatnot. And these ones would be placed in corners themselves. So that's pretty much the general gist of it. And in regards to the props themselves, while looking from the side view, what you need to consider is basically the overall shape going from all directions. So if I were to make a copy of this and turn around and just have a look at how this looks like, you can see that even looking from a different angle, it's not going to break up the entire section. It has a nice amount of variation. If we were to, for example, show it like this is basically the same collection from a different angle, but just looking from a different angle. And yes, I know that the sun direction is going to make it look a little bit darker already, but even if it was from the same sun direction, they would still look quite nice, mainly because of the way it's broken down. So the pieces give you a nice kind of a silhouette over here. As you can see, maybe this bucket should be taken a little bit more to the right to help us break the surface a little bit more, for example, which we can actually do. I'll show you in a bit how to do that. The other one is also quite nice, as it allows you to just break up the surface a little bit over here as well. And again, this one maybe can be taken a little bit more to the right as well. But again, this is quite an easy setup, quite an easy fix. I'll show you how to do that. Actually, once you have it selected, what you need to do is just go to Edit Blueprint, go to Viewport, and then simply grab this, for example, bucket over here. I'm just going to take it. Actually, I'll just go on to the viewport, because whilst we're moving it, you can see it move within the prefab itself right away. So I'm just going to slightly put it offset like so, maybe rotate it a little bit so the handle wouldn't just, oh, sorry, that's the wrong rotation. Going to select back onto this window and rotate it a little bit like so. Maybe in this direction, actually. Just like that. I think that's quite all right. I want it to be too far off from this original one. So, oh, I selected the wrong one again. Don't want it to be too far off, but we want it to be just within the same cluster, basically. This section, again, we talked a little bit about to take it off a little bit to the side. And just by doing it like so, it helps us to break off the overall section. We can see it from here as well, and it looks quite all right. We could make more complications and whatnot, more detail using them, but honestly, keeping it as simple as possible is sometimes the way to go, mainly because of the large amount of city. We don't want it to look too clustered. We just want to help us to use those props to help us basically break up the overall surfaces and whatnot. Okay, so now that we have it like so, let's go ahead and go over the overall type of collections. So we have this that we just duplicated not long ago. We're going to go ahead and make use out of it and set up a different one. So this one can be considered more of a square, but I'd like to ideally make a smaller type of a square that goes from the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this one over here, going to hold Alt, put it off to the side like so, and I'll just populate it with certain pots and whatnot, just like that. And maybe I'll just grab some pots from the mesh itself, maybe some even smaller basically. That will help us again to break off the surface a little bit. Notice how I'm placing it. So this one is the largest one and this is the smallest one in the middle. So it has like a nice zigzag, keeps everything clustered up looking. If we were to have this, for example, over here, it would naturally create a sort of a pattern where it just has that diagonal kind of a line. And we don't want to really have this, particularly in this case. So we want to make it look a little bit more randomized in a way, but with having those kind of sizes scattered around. And I think that's going to be quite all right. We could even grab like a basket to make sure that we don't actually have a basket. Just wondering, crate maybe? Yeah, I think we'll grab a crate, or actually, yeah, there you go, this one over here. I quite like this. We're going to make use out of this. And we're just going to place it somewhere over here. The reason being is mainly because we have so many circular type of objects. We want to make sure that we break this up a little bit. And just having it like so is going to help us out with that. So that's going to be quite all right. Okay, I think we're done with this. So if we look at it from the top, it's more of a circular shape, but all in all, it's just kept in the same kind of a box. And it's going to be quite nicely set up. So we have like a larger collection, we'll have a smaller collection. And I'm not going to change this to a blueprint just yet because we can work with more types. Let's go ahead and grab a simple crate. These ones barrels, these ones over here, look a little bit more fancy. We also need to consider in regards to the placement of the location for them. So these ones were more of a fancy look, and we could create ones that we have more of a basic type of a setup. Go ahead and grab a crate over here, grab one over here as well, something like this. I think it's going to be quite all right. And also one more thing that I should mention is that we also need a sort of a blocking points as well. So we'll need to set up like a certain higher type of collections that will allow us to just block off those paths we talked about before. Before that doing though, let's go ahead and just quickly look over this section over here. So I quite like this setup. It gives us that nice triangle we talked about before. I'm going to grab one of the pots probably, or actually should have like a bag or something. There you go. I quite like this bag. Let me just go ahead and make use out of it. I'll just put it over here. So kind of reinforce this entire section a little bit like so. Maybe I can rotate it a little bit. Well, I don't think it matters too much for this particular case. But there we have it. We have some basic type of prop collection, and that's all we need. So this is a triangle that we talked about. So the next one is going to be the elongated rectangle, but with I think we can make it up to be a little bit taller as well, since usually we're going to be placing, if we look at the map itself, we're going to be placing along the sides, for example, of these walls over here. So it's going to be just emphasizing the overall shape, the direction of this corridor and whatnot. And also we can make use of them at the same time to to block off certain areas. So because we're going to be placing them next to the walls constantly, basically the height of them can be a little bit higher, so it's not going to matter as much. So I think we're going to go ahead